So the Deputy Minister for Finance, Kasoa Interchange, also the former Minister of State who was in charge of finance, also presently the man who is spearheading all the stuff as far as the minorities policing of finances is concerned, Anthony Akoto Osei, and Abdul Malik Kubako Jr. is the editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. Now, I'll start on the Nanes issue with the Kasoa Interchange with Abdul Malik. And yes, the main guys are here. I want us to take what your understanding of the whole brouhaha is and then bring them in to tell us what it is. Nana says that in a recent speech in London, Mahmoud Bawumia produced a list of flagship projects from the past 6 years that the government put in the 2015 budget, and noted, he's quoting Mahmoud Bawumia, all these signature projects sum up to some $3.5 billion out of the increase in total debt by the equivalent at the time of borrowing of some $27 billion. So where is the rest of the money? Then he comes to single out a few things. He says that, I wanted to jump, but it's okay, let me read it. He says the issue becomes even clearer when the 21 projects are subjected to value for money scrutiny. Let's pick just one, the 11th project on the list, the Kasoa Interchange, which is to be constructed at the cost of $172 million. I have already made reference to this particular project and the cost on some other occasions. I come back to it to make an example of the point I am making, and also because those who know about these matters have expressed anxiety to me. I also take on board the explanation that government spokespersons have offered about why the cost appears bloated when compared to the cost of building the 6-lane N1 highway with 2 interchanges and the paying of compensation for those whose properties had to give way for the road. I accept that the government is not building an ordinary interchange, but as I have said, many have expressed deep anxieties about the cost, and it is definitely one of the things leading to the perception of corruption in government. I want to make a humble suggestion to His Excellency the President. Check the figures, check them again, invite others in an international open tender, and let's see if we can't save the nation more than half what you have signed up to pay.
Well, two things. There's a first leg which hadn't actually attracted my attention, but I now realize the point about flagship projects,
right,
and how much has gone into them within context of our growing public debt. That's a different area, even though in there is the Kasoa thing as number 11.
Right.
But there's a drift, and I remember the minority not too long ago held a press conference or so, that is the minority leaders winding up rather on the 2015 budget statement and economic policy. This is dated December 3rd, 2014. And I would want to read that portion and then explain myself. It says, accounting for borrowed monies. This appears to be a submission made in Parliament. It says, since 2009, the NDC administration has borrowed over $27 billion. This is besides oil and tax revenues. No government in Ghana's history has been so lucky. Unfortunately, whilst borrowing revenue inflow have increased, capital expenditure as a percentage of GDP has drastically declined. The evidence is that over 90% of the increase in government spending has been for recurrent expenditure. In the 2015 budget, the Minister of Finance has enumerated a number of signature projects that have been financed by this borrowing since 2009. These include the total expenditure of which come to 20, he didn't list the projects, which come to $3.5 billion out of 27 billion borrowed. So where is the rest of the money? How do you account for the 23.5 billion, Mr. Minister? We on this side of the house, we immediately file an urgent question for the Minister of Finance to provide the House and indeed the people of this country with a comprehensive list of all the projects financed by domestic and external borrowing and the respective amounts involved since 2009 to enable a proper accounting for the staggering increase in the debt stock. I'm absolutely for this. That takes care of the first part. And I think that as a matter of principle, in the name of probity and transparency, I see absolutely nothing wrong with this call. And indeed, we would wait anxiously to see when that urgent question will be filed and the answers that will be provided on the floor of the House. It's important. It will enhance the debate and indeed bring more integrity and credibility to bear on the issues. Now let's go for the specific, which is the Kasoa thing. This time round, I think that Mr. Nana Akufo-Addo's take, in my candid opinion, was a little bit more refined than the previous one that I heard him say, which was a direct comparative thing about the N1 interchange and the Kasoa thing. It was a bit simplistic and, if you like, crude then, and sounded more like propaganda. And I think there was a backlash. And before then, I'd heard other civil society groups who had put it out. But this time around, I think it was a very focused, very refined approach. Now, let's look at the elements that he pushed forward. First and foremost, I am not too clear in my mind if it is possible to put this particular project back on tender for international tendering. I'm not sure. I believe that if anything, Parliament has already approved this thing. If anybody is so minded that there's something incurably wrong with it, I believe you still go through the parliamentary process. A motion for rescission can be done. I've seen it done before. I remember the CNTCI thing, the NDC minority came with a motion, it was defeated. Somewhere in 98, there was something like that, which I cannot immediately recollect. So that point, the option of killing this project, the tendering that had already been, the sole sourcing and putting it on international tendering, I think cannot be done. And I'm told reliably that this Brazilian structure, this in terms of their export credit financing arrangements, it's a requirement that the company must come from Brazil, and that makes it, that's why it's sole sourcing. So again, I think that part we need to let things lie. Now we have to look at the project itself. In terms of value for money, I've heard some people say there was no value for money audit. That's not true. No, that's not true. There was. I have cited one. If you like, I have intercepted one, which I'm keeping to my chest. But I am not technical enough to even understand.
But at least it was not brought to Parliament. Let's put it that way.
Yes, having read the Hansard, yes. I don't see that. But I realize it's not the first time. You remember the contract, the $357 million Exim Bank, U.S. Exim Bank thing for this. Under the MPP. The electrification. Yes. My tracking of that event shows that the value for money audit was done after. It was done after.
Several projects.
Yes. So I don't think it's a fatal injury to the issue. Precisely. The point is that it ought to be done.
Yes.
And I realized that it was done. I have one here. It's dated August 2014. The letters I have show when they were doing the sole sourcing. In fact, there's a mandate, the mandate letter from the Finance Ministry, okay, required. This is dated, it's 1st August 2014. The Finance Ministry indicated that we would also wish to request that the Ministry of Roads and Highways is by a copy of this letter to engage Queirozo Galvão, I'm not able to pronounce it properly, to discuss the technical aspect of the project. The project contract documents will be subject to value for money audit, and this will be treated as a condition precedent. Yes. And indeed, these are the letters that they sent to the Public Procurement Authority for sole sourcing, and the value for money audit is here. Yes. I have a copy here.
It was not presented.
It was not part of the documentation.
Which is the mistake.
Yeah, but it's not a fatal injury.
No, it's not.
In my candid opinion. So my view is that, you see, unless somebody can bring forward evidence to show that particular areas of this contract, a very otherwise positive, noble project, has been bloated, I think we ought not to be going in that direction. That's my candid opinion.
Okay.
If there's nothing of evidential value to back the claim or allegation or perception of bloating, we might as well just terminate the debate.
The Roads Minister has said that Nana is ill-informed on this matter. The MPP's ranking member of the Parliamentary Committee on Roads and Transports, that is Kofi Owusu-Ediomi, has come to defend what has happened. He says, as far as he's concerned, everything was done well, and there's nothing untoward about this. In fact, he himself is an engineer. He's undertaking projects in this country before, and he knows that the amounts that were brought are not inflated. But the critical question some ask is this not part of what some suggest is lazy politics? If you're saying you suspect a figure is bloated, why don't you provide us, do your own valuation and provide us with that report and say you could have gotten it for 70,000 instead of 170 plus thousand?
I think people have missed the general track of what Nana was trying to say. He's looking at a broader picture on the issue of value for money. Not just that he picked one. But you remember, he almost repeated what Kwaku read from Chairman's statement. There's a general concern about value for money in Ghana in terms of our procurement process. And that's the issue he's bringing up. And for me, I think all of us should welcome it. If you focus on one, it gives a wrong impression. As Kwaku is showing you, unfortunately, our processes are not very good. And I am urging Nana to keep the hit on all of us to change it. Why do I say that? Under normal circumstances, when such a contract, because it's sole source, is coming to Parliament, we ought to demand as parliamentarians that, look, bring us the value for money audit, bring the contract before you bring the loan. As Kwaku said, we've had several instances where we approve the loan, approve the contract, and then the value for money audit comes in. So Nana is challenging our process. I think Ghana will be better, and I'm sure he in the ministry will feel better if we do what I think we should be doing.
Look, is the value for money not targeted at the contract itself?
Yes.
The building,
yes.
The construction?
Yes,
is that not,
but so before you bring it to Parliament, because we are not experts, I'll give you a good example of where a contract, if you remember, the Chinese buses. Parliament said no, we challenged it. They went back and did the value for money audit, and it turned out that the savings were made. Rich. You remember when they did the value for money, they said they are savings, but we'll do additional work.
Sure.
We are not doing it that way. And I think Nana is right. He's not talking about this particular contract.
Is it about Nana being right or you, the MPs, failing your
that's part of it.
by not doing your job?
But the executive must also demand. In this case, I was out of the country. I'm saying it is in our mutual interest for Parliament that when the executive is coming, we demand, look, we are not the experts. Let's see. Because it's a requirement or at least a practice since our time, and they are doing it, that when it's sole source, there must be a VFM. Unfortunately, there's another problem with that. There's a monopoly in terms of VFM, crown agents. So imagine 20 such huge contracts coming and one company, so there's a delay. But I think we ought to liberalize that, those institutions that do VFM. But we should insist that, look, don't bring any contract.
You're saying that there is only one entity.
Crown agents, unless.
But in this case,
that's the value for money.
But then it's not accepted.
This is DOK. I'm not sure I can pronounce it properly.
It's
DEOKE Consult Limited.
But the government uses crown agents officially.
Yes,
they cannot choose their value for money, because if you take the VFM from the contractor.
Yeah, but again, my question now I'm asking is, can't we elevate the politics a bit by ensuring that if you are going to challenge the figures, value for money for a particular project, you should be able, as a big party like the MPP, sponsor an independent valuation and use that to challenge what is on the board.
You are focusing on that. Nana is raising the bigger picture of value for money. He listed how many 23 projects. Yeah. Each one of them you could have picked. Each one of them. Look, in the documentation that came to Parliament, the loan was 172. The contract that went to the Roads Committee showed 160. The untutored will say, oh, there's a problem. But there's an insurance aspect.
Sure.
that brings it up.
That's right.
But that is not the same as the VFM. And as I said, if there was a VFM that went to the committee, these things will not arise. Secondly, you referred to Osu Adiobe. I spoke to him personally. He suggested that the final designs are not known. So if the final designs are not known, we still don't know the true value. In fact, my experience with the Chinese is that every contract we've had with the Chinese, there's been variation. So there's a problem generally Nana is bringing attention to. Ghana, we are not getting value for money. Let's do a better job. And I agree with him.
Is it my understanding that if there are any variations with this, the companies take it, they absorb it?
No.
That's the nature of this contract.
No, that is the whole problem.
Check it.
No, but my experience is that something comes up with a new loan, and Bui has gone from 652 to almost 900 and something. They come with a new loan. So I'm saying that we have not been doing. When I say we,
scope of work change and the bill.
Okay, but still,
just in some.
So my point is that he's raising a bigger question that the system as we have it does not yield the best.
Shouldn't the bigger question rather be this: that in Ghana we build, like Uso Diomi said, in Ghana we build 1 kilometer of an asphalted road for $1 million.
And it used to be 300
and,
or so.
And that is even higher than how much it is done in Nigeria.
But that is why...
Shouldn't you be looking at that?
No, it is part of it. That's why he's confirming Nana's worry. In fact,
but the value for money audit goes into all those areas relative to this Kasoa
exactly.
one.
Okay.
Compares it to both things in Ghana and
exactly.
So Dr. Antonio Kuteso doesn't seem to, agree with those who say Nana goofed. Simply put.
Let me say that I personally think that probably his researchers did not do a good work. In the sense that there's a lot of factual inaccuracies in what he said. One, and very significant one, is the cost of the project. The project is not $172 million. I don't know where that is coming from. The cost of the project is $160 million US.
But it's the loan that was...
But the loan, you see, the West contract is different from the loan. And we shouldn't confuse the two. I keep saying the same thing. That is a big mistake on that platform.
That is not. But with respect to you,
it's not government at all, because
is borrowing 172, including the insurance.
Yes.
So in that sense,
but the contract itself, the West contract is 160 million.
But we are borrowing
160 million.
Okay,
we are
so
borrowing
go on.
172. So it is not wrong.
Well,
it's wrong. It's not a serious error.
No,
if it's
wrong,
because you see in here, you borrowed 172.
Yes,
172.
Yes,
but it includes something different.
Yes, but it's still a cost.
That is not necessarily related to the contract.
It's not a substantive.
I think your explanation is admitted. The cost is not 172.
Of the contract.
Yes, the cost of the contract is not 172.
Yes. So how do you explain to Ghanaians?
The cost of the project, the West contract, is 160 million.
The cost of the project is 172.
And let me say, the scope of work. You see, you can only make an argument that the contract has been bloated looking at the scope of work. And probably maybe I'll take you through the project cost, line by line, what accounted to the 160 million. The interchange bridges and ramps, they are going to do 0.28 kilometers, and the cost is $13.6 million US. They are doing some Bodras's section of the road, and it's a dual carriage, and the length of the road is 0.5% from 0.5 kilometers. The cost of the contract is $1.4 million US. Nyanyano section, which is a dual carriage, is going to be a dual carriage road, 0.5 kilometers, and it's going to cost $1.4 million US. Construction of main road, dual carriage, 6 kilometers, and it's going to cost $8.4 million US. Construction of service roads within Kasoa, and it's 2 lanes, 12 kilometers, and it's going to cost $30 million US. Reconstruction of local roads, single carriageway, 2 kilometers, and it's going to cost $2 million US. Number 7, we did say that we are going to construct roads, we're going to do road safety measures, street lighting. We have bridges, lighting, road line markings, road signs, and others, $6 million US. Construction of Kasoa Amasaman Road, including the construction of 20 meters span bridge over River Densu. Single carriageway, 33 kilometers span, and it's going to cost $40.26 million US. And then utility relocation, You have to relocate the utilities there. It's going to cost $4 million US. And then we have the Kasoa terminal, construction of basic schools, toilet facility, boreholes, and Kasoa polyclinics. Total cost, we have enumerated all of that, and we gave it to the committee. Design and supervision, $5.6 million, and a contingency of $6.64 million. This is a contingency, $16.64 million US.
Okay, so
it doesn't mean they are going to have it, depending on the outcome.
No, I want some
and as you say that Nanes researchers should be doing a better job.
Yeah, I think so.
Now let me bring you this. Gabi Asare Chidaku is saying that the finance minister refers to the cost in the budget as a cost of loan of 172 million. So
that's the loan.
Let's put that one.
That
out.
is the loan. That is the loan. But the cost, the West contract is 160.
The insurance is part of the project.
Yes,
I don't think.
Okay, now Kuku has a
I just
question.
wanted a clarification. You said reconstruction of local routes.
Yes.
Single carriage. What did you say? I thought I
The
heard
reconstruction of Kasoa Masaman Road.
No. Local routes. You said something about 2 million.
2 million.
Reconstruction
Reconstruction of local road, single carriageway.
Yes.
20 kilometers.
That's right, because you said 2 million.
20
And I'm
kilometers
looking
in
at
amount
Hansard.
is 20.
Okay.
20.
But there's another one which is confusing. In Hansard, design and supervision.
Yes.
You said 5.6.
Yes.
Yes.
But it's in Hansard, it's been cancelled and made 7.6.
It's
Okay.
5.6.
It's gone up.
But here, it's
Okay, so it's gone up there.
Unless they've changed the contingency, then the amount will not add
Okay,
up.
it's gone up there.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's in the Hansard.
Yes.
This is the official record.
Official record.
Okay. All right. You're still here on Newsfile. This is your most authoritative news analysis show. And we've just been dealing with that issue that brought up a lot of discussion in the course of the week as far as the Kasoa Interchange is concerned.
I remember Dr. Akutosa had an experience with the Ministry of Energy over this U.S. Exim Bank thing. When the value for money audit was undertaken and some savings were made. You recall that there was an accusation that the MPP government had overpriced the loan. Do you recall that? Yeah. No?
All right.
I think we all agree that Ghana needs to tackle this procurement problem of value for money. It can only help us.
Yes. When it came to the other one, the
Yes.
Ringway
Yes, Ringway,
flyover
yes.
in the Hansard,
Yes.
actually was very focused on that,
one.
matter.
It is
about the need for value for money, the need for due diligence, and the need to enhance Parliament's capacity to be able to do those
Yes,
things.
in
It's all
fact,
in the Hansard here.
for that, Parliament is now putting some money for some committees to hire consultancies to look at such issues.
It's here.
So
It's in the
we need
Hansard.
to do that.
It's a recognition that
Thank you.
we know we have a weakness, institutional weakness there.
Thank you very much. It's a season of surprises at MTN. Come ye in the spirit of Christmas to MTN Carols Night 2014. Come see celebrities compose and sing their own renditions of your favorite Christmas carols. Samini, Raquel, Kweku Jesse, Bwediwa, and others will be backed by El Dunamis Minstrels and Ghana's Band of the Moment, the High School Band. Also introducing for the first time Bukum Banku and Ayite Powers performing live their own versions of the favorite Christmas carols and performance. I can't wait to see this from Togbi and Snow B from Hitmaker Season 3. Come join us on Friday, the 19th of December at the Accra International Conference Center at 7 p.m. on the dot. This event is strictly by invitation, so start texting MTN Carols to 1327. That's the magic number. 1327. You just text MTN Carols to 1327 and stand a chance to get an exclusive invitation. Standard SMS rates and conditions apply. Come share in the joy of Christmas and say welcome to the new world. Everywhere you go, that is MTN. And may I remind you again that Bank of Africa has got products that will meet your corporate and individual banking needs. All you need to do is call them 0244 338 226. This is Newsfile, your most authoritative news analysis show. We have a very limited time to wrap up, but Doc, how do you make What do you make of this confusion about Ghana Gas and the GNPC takeover?
I found the statements very unfortunate. I think Ghana is Ghana, and we only have one government. And I'll urge government officials to be circumspect on these matters. Yes, in the budget statement, we have been giving government's intention that Ghana Gas is going to be assumed by GNPC. I don't have any problem with that. But for the PRO, for the Ministry of Energy to say it is effective now, a PRO, I don't know who directed him. Because, look, to take over such a huge outfit, you have appointed a transaction advisor who has not even talked to the parties. So basically, they forced the chairman of the board, Dr. Kasoa, to come and say, the process has just started. So I'm wondering who directed the PRO. I wish, he was supposed to have been, I wish he had been here to tell us, because that is the source of it. We know it's going to take a while. So what is the TEF fight all about? We are one nation. We are one nation. So we should learn to talk so that we don't give wrong signals. I found that very unfortunate.
Dr. Kwesi, who is the chairman of the GNGC,
yes,
is very unhappy about it, that no courtesies were even extended to them. They had not, as you said, even had a meeting with the transaction advisor.
They don't have a letter? Or they read it in the budget statement?
As for the letters, we have cited letters that, were written to them, about 2 of them, stating categorically that the processes had been completed, but he felt that this was not what it ought to be.
I agree with him.
How do you want him to, go on?
I think he's a mature person. His statement is apt. I think he's waiting for the transaction advisor, which he ought to do, so that the board can meet with them. Because there are a lot of processes. Assets will have to be assessed to see what they're going to try. They just about completed the plant. It may have serious difficulties. So it's not a straightforward process. I wish Mr. Bawa had been here and to tell us who directed him. It appears it's his minister. And if it is, the minister is not here, so I will not second guess him. But it's a goof that shouldn't have occurred. We don't look well as Ghanaians. The energy sector is so important. I have my beef with GNPC. I have no problem with the decision to subsume them. But as you heard me on the EI9 matter, I have difficulties with some governance issues that need to be addressed. So I urge the government to factor this in this decision that he has taken.
Okay. Now, as we know by our own company law, section 95 of it, expresses to the effect that unless in the company's own regulations, there's been another way for which the shares ought to be transferred in a private limited company, the same may be executed by a written transfer in a common form. And GNPC is saying that all of these things have been completed. So what's the big deal? What do you make of what is going on?
For me, I think in all this, we have not, we have not gone away with the fact that the substance of the matter, which is the measure, is wrong or anything. So I think that to me is the most important one. It's important for us to merge these two companies. What is left maybe is the way it was done, the way the communication maybe went out, and the way
it appears that Dr. Kwesi is asking for sort of a board meeting, but that is not a requirement of the law.
No, he's not asking for he's saying that the transaction advisor who has been designated by the governor to effect this process has not even talked to them.
Okay.
I don't know the details about that, and I don't want to pretend as if I know much and then probably go forward on this matter. I would like to say that I think that the importance is for us to recognize that there's a need for these two companies to merge. The fact that, and that fact, nobody disputes that. And in Parliament, from both sides, we all welcome that idea, and I think Ghana will benefit from that, and we should stick to that.
Kweku, granted that they have followed the Companies Act, they have gotten a share, certificate. They have gone to notify the Registrar General as is required by law. That's a complete process.
You recall that the last time it came up here, I voted for the consolidation.
Right.
I mean, as a matter of principle, even though I don't have the technical understanding, a very perfect understanding of it. I thought it makes sense to me, and that's the way forward. But for the record, you see, I've just found out that the 3 letters, and I think you published them on your website,
Yes.
the one dated 3rd December, 9th December, and 10th December, reached the Ghana Gas office yesterday
Oh,
after work.
I see.
They reached there.
So Dr. Botwe is justified.
Those 3 letters you've posted
Right.
on your website reached Ghana Gas office. A female staff member of the Energy Ministry sent those 3 letters to Ghana Gas office yesterday, 5:53 p.m. I've seen the letters. I've seen.
Okay.
So it doesn't. It's worrying. And so you see, Dr. Botwe is somebody I've known for years. That for years he's not the rabble-rousing type or the robust type, even though he's a strong character. And for him to have gone public and explained himself that way, I was surprised. So when I read those things posted on your website, I said, hey, Dr. Botwe, be careful, your integrity may be on the line. I did some double checking, and I have the letters stamped, received, 5:53 p.m. yesterday, 12 December.
That's shameful.
Maybe we have to check from the ministry
Nana
as well to see
Boateng-
when it was dispatched.
No, but how could he take that one letter dated 3rd and it reached on the 12th? Was it walking by, traveling by a snail?
And it's such an urgent letter.
Yes.
You know
It's a
you're going to
fact.
make the announcement around this time, and you've already gone ahead to make the announcement.
I have them
Nana
here.
Boateng in the UK says
It
that
was received 12 December.
I'm not quite convinced by the minister's submission on the economy. NDC should come clean and clear on the economy, so we all in the diaspora and Ghana can support its recovery. If he has stated something very specific, I could have asked him about that. Akwesi Echampong in Maryland says that please ask Ato Forsing if he is implying the government will be going back to the Bank of Ghana in the next 2 weeks to borrow again. Adam in London says, Samson, please tell the deputy, I should tell him, okay, the deputy minister, that Ghanaians are very discerning, so he should not put dust in our eyes. 2016 is around the corner. That's a threat. Kofi Sika, Kofi, bring me some of the money. It says, it is just not enough to criticize project cost without providing alternative cost. Nanado and his MPP could do themselves and the nation a great deal of service if they could provide us what they think the Kasoa project should cost. I think that is very basic. No name, you haven't provided, and you say, please, I want to find out from the Honorable Deputy Finance Minister why they have not paid all the newly trained teachers, especially those in the Kumbungu district in the northern region. Do you have an answer to this?
Interesting.
I understand why he was protecting his identity.
Right. You have an answer to this?
I have not cited any request from the sector ministry, Ministry of Health. So I have not cited anything.
Okay.
So, just a quick one on those letters. I'm not necessarily blaming the minister,
Right.
or suggesting he's lied. They should look within their bureaucratic system.
Yeah, the bureaucracy within them. Right. Okay. Yes, you are saying.
I'm only saying that I've not cited any requests from the sector ministry.
Okay.
But I don't know what is wrong.
Dr. Say,
it keeps coming up.
Say
I'll
is saying
look
that
at
you know it's been coming up for a while
it keeps
now.
coming up. No, but
Okay.
this is the trainee.
Yes.
Is it the nurses?
Teachers too.
But teachers.
There's a Manche Bruce.
Manche Bruce.
Consistent.
Consistently, yes.
Okay. Right. Someone, Frederick Larson in San Francisco. Right. Today, all the messages are from abroad. Says that, well, some of them will do anything to listen to the show. Says that on City FM's Eyewitness News on Thursday, the Roads Minister said Nanado's assertion of an interchange is wrong, but the project involves 3 interchanges rather. However, what Richard had to say, the parliamentary Hansard, he was quoting to the minister, had just an interchange, not interchanges. The question is the ministry smuggling in 2 more interchanges to account for the perceived bloat? I suppose that you may have sent it this before the minister gave you the breakdown. Mike Frimpong says, when intelligent politicians speak, you can tell. Honorable Kasoa Forcing is one of them. I can only imagine what some people would have said about Nanado. Okay, thank you very much. Abdul Aziz says something. Please stop judging by the messages you read. If you read our messages, the tone will be different. Our messages have not been read. You should have sent me a message I should have read. Too bad for you. And thank you very, very much, gentlemen. I hope this is where we'll draw the curtains on the show. My guests have been Kasoa Interchange. He is a Deputy Finance Minister. Also, Dr. Anthony Akotose is a former Minister of State in charge of Finance, and he is presently the minority ranking member in charge of spokesperson on finance. He's the MP for Old Tafo. You are MP. Yes. Forgive me.
For Ejumako
yes.
Enyan Esiam.
Ejumako Enyan Esiam.
The central.
That is where he is the MP, the Deputy Minister of Finance. Thank you very much. Abdul Malik Kubako Jr. is the editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper, and he's our regular panelist on this show. Edward Bauer of the communications outfits, or he's a communications consultant to the Ministry of Energy. He couldn't come, and I don't have any excuse from him. Dr. Anthony Akotose suggests he may have been running away from this GNPC problem. Earlier, we spoke to Governance Advisor Daniel Batidam, also Executive Director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, Vitus Azim, and Executive Secretary of the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, Linda Ofori Kwafo. My name is Samson Ladi Ayeni.